Welcome to the Daily English Learning Podcast.
Hello to all our wonderful listeners tuning in from every part of the world, whether it is sunny, raining, or snowing, where you are right now. Welcome back to another refreshing episode of the Daily English Learning Podcast. I am your host, Olivia, and I am delighted to be here with my co-host, Martin. How is the weather treating you today, Martin?
Hello, everyone. It is a pleasure to be back in the studio. To answer your question, Olivia, the weather outside is absolutely miserable today. It has been raining non-stop since this morning, and the sky is a very depressing shade of gray. But honestly, I shouldn't complain because talking about the weather is the favorite national sport of British people. Today, we are going to dedicate our entire episode to weather, seasons, and climate.
That is so true. It is the ultimate small talk topic. Whenever there is an awkward silence in an elevator or at a bus stop, you can always say, "Nice weather we're having, isn't it?" And suddenly you are in a conversation. In this episode, we will go beyond just saying, "It is hot" or "It is cold." We will explore vocabulary for describing storms, discuss our favorite seasons, and touch on the serious topic of climate change.
We will also share some personal stories about getting caught in bad weather and teach you some colorful idioms that use weather-related words. So please grab your umbrella or your sunglasses, depending on where you are, and let's dive into this atmospheric discussion.
Martin, why do you think people are so obsessed with talking about the weather? Is it just because it is easy, or is there a deeper reason?
I think it is because the weather is the one thing that affects everybody equally. It doesn't matter if you are rich or poor, a CEO or a student. If it rains, you get wet. It is a shared experience that connects us instantly. Also, in countries like the UK, the weather is so unpredictable that it is actually genuinely interesting news. You can have sunshine, rain, and hail all in the same afternoon.
That is a very good point. Unpredictability makes it a safe and neutral topic. You are not going to offend anyone by saying, "It looks like it might rain later." I personally check the weather forecast on my phone every single morning before I get dressed. I need to know if I should wear a heavy coat or if a light jacket will be enough. Are you a person who trusts the forecast, or do you just look out the window?
I look out the window, but I definitely check the app on my phone too. However, I often find that meteorologists get it wrong. They will predict a sunny spell for the afternoon, so I will leave my umbrella at home, and then I end up getting soaked in a sudden downpour. I think predicting the weather must be one of the most difficult jobs in the world because nature is so chaotic.
Soaked is a great word for our listeners. It means completely wet, like you jumped in a swimming pool with your clothes on. I hate that feeling of wet socks in your shoes. But there is something nice about being inside a warm house when there is a storm raging outside. It makes you feel very cozy and protected.
That brings us to the seasons. Everyone has a preference. Olivia, if you could only live in one season for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
That is an easy question for me. I am definitely a summer person. I absolutely adore the long days when the sun doesn't set until 9 p.m. It gives me so much energy to go for walks, sit in the park, or have a barbecue with friends. I love the feeling of the sun on my skin, and everything just looks more beautiful when the sky is blue. The only downside is when it gets too humid and sticky, which makes it hard to sleep at night.
We are complete opposites again. I find summer exhausting because of the heat. I am an autumn person, without a doubt. I love the crisp, cool air in October and the beautiful colors of the leaves turning red, orange, and brown. For me, autumn is the season of comfort. It is the perfect time to wear big, cozy sweaters, drink hot chocolate, and read books by the fire. Plus, the temperature is perfect for walking, not too hot to sweat, but not too cold to freeze.
I can appreciate the beauty of autumn, especially the crunchy leaves on the ground. But what about winter? Do you like the snow, or do you find it annoying?
I have a love-hate relationship with winter. Visually, snow is magical. Walking in a park that is covered in a fresh blanket of white snow is incredibly peaceful and silent. However, the reality of living with snow is difficult. The roads become icy and dangerous, the trains get canceled, and the snow eventually turns into gray, dirty slush on the sidewalks. And don't get me started on scraping ice off my car windshield every morning.
I agree. Snow is beautiful on a postcard, but stressful in real life. I get seasonal affective disorder sad sometimes in the winter because of the lack of sunlight. Going to work in the dark and coming home in the dark can really affect your mood. That is why I love spring. It is the season of hope. Seeing the first flowers like daffodils and tulips pushing through the ground makes me feel optimistic that the cold days are finally over.
Let's talk about extreme weather. Have you ever been in a situation where the weather was actually scary or dangerous?
Yes, I actually got caught in a severe thunderstorm when I was hiking in the mountains a few years ago. It started as a lovely sunny day, but suddenly dark clouds gathered and the temperature dropped rapidly. Within minutes, there was thunder crashing right above us and lightning striking the ground nearby. It was terrifying because we were exposed on the hillside. We had to run down to find shelter under a rock overhang. It reminded me how powerful nature is and how small we are.
That sounds incredibly frightening. Thunderstorms can be very intense. My scary experience was with a heat wave. I was visiting a city in southern Europe during a record-breaking summer, and the temperature reached 42 degrees Celsius. It was unbearable. The air felt like a hairdryer blowing in your face. I actually felt dizzy and almost fainted from dehydration. I had to stay indoors with the air conditioning on for 3 days because it was physically dangerous to be outside.
Heat waves are becoming much more common. Unfortunately, it is known as a scorcher or a boiling hot day. It is important to drink plenty of water and wear sunscreen. On the other extreme, have you ever experienced a hurricane or a tornado?
Thankfully, no. We don't really get tornadoes in this part of the world, although we do get strong gales that can blow trees down. I have seen videos of tornadoes in the USA, and the destruction they cause is unbelievable. It must be terrifying to hear that siren warning and know you have to hide in a basement.
This leads us to a more serious topic: climate change. We are seeing more extreme weather events globally, like floods, droughts, and wildfires. Do you worry about the changing climate, Martin?
I worry about it deeply. It is impossible to ignore the signs. The summers are getting hotter, the winters are getting wetter, and the seasons seem to be shifting. When I was a child, we used to have snow every winter, but now it is quite rare. It is clear that human activity and carbon emissions are warming the planet. It is the biggest challenge our generation faces.
I feel the same anxiety. It is easy to feel helpless, but I try to focus on what I can control. I try to reduce my carbon footprint by recycling, using less plastic, and taking public transport instead of driving. I know these are small steps, but if everyone does them, it can make a difference. Do you think technology will help us solve this problem?
I am hopeful. Renewable energy sources like wind power and solar power are becoming much more efficient and cheaper. We are seeing a transition to electric vehicles, which will reduce air pollution in cities. But technology alone isn't enough. We need governments to make strict laws to protect the environment. We need to stop deforestation and protect the oceans.
Absolutely. The weather isn't just about whether we need an umbrella today. It is about the long-term health of our home Earth. We often use the term global warming, but climate change is more accurate, because in some places it might actually get colder or wetter, not just hotter. The weather patterns are becoming chaotic.
Let's lighten the mood a little bit by looking at how the weather has influenced the English language. There are so many idioms related to weather. Olivia, what is your favorite one?
I use the phrase under the weather quite often. It means feeling slightly sick or unwell, but not seriously ill. For example, I can come to the party tonight. I am feeling a bit under the weather. It is a polite way to say you are not feeling 100%.
That is a classic. I like the phrase, to save it for a rainy day. This means to save money or resources for a future time when you might need them unexpectedly. For example, I got a bonus at work, but I am not going to spend it. I am going to save it for a rainy day.
Another good one is take a rain check. This is used when you have to refuse an invitation but you want to accept it at a later date. You can say, I would love to go to dinner, but I am busy tonight. Can I take a rain check? It is very common in social situations.
And we can't forget break the ice. We used this in our earlier episodes. It means to say or do something to relieve tension when people meet for the first time. The weather itself is a great way to break the ice.
One more is every cloud has a silver lining. This means that even in a bad situation, there is usually something good or positive to be found. It is a very optimistic idiom.
I try to remember that one when I am stuck in traffic.
We have covered a storm of vocabulary today. Let's take a few minutes to explain the most important words we used so our listeners can add them to their mental dictionary.
I will start with the word forecast. A forecast is a prediction or estimate of future events, especially coming weather. You check the weather forecast to see if it will rain.
My first word is humid. Humid describes weather that is hot and has a lot of moisture or water vapor in the air. It makes you feel sticky and sweaty. It is very common in tropical countries.
Next is overcast. If the sky is overcast, it is completely covered with gray clouds, and you cannot see the sun. It usually looks like it is going to rain.
I mentioned the word breeze. A breeze is a gentle, light wind. It is usually pleasant and refreshing, unlike a strong gale. A sea breeze is the wind coming from the ocean.
We also talked about heat wave. A heat wave is a prolonged period of abnormally hot weather which can last for days or weeks.
Then there is drizzle. Drizzle is very light rain. The drops are very small, almost like a mist. In London, it drizzles a lot.
I use the term slush. Slush is partially melted snow that is often dirty and wet. It happens when snow starts to turn into water on the roads.
And finally, carbon footprint. This is a metaphor for the amount of carbon dioxide released into the atmosphere as a result of the activities of a particular individual or organization.
These words are incredibly useful for describing the world around you.
We have reached the end of our forecast for today. We hope this episode has brightened your day, even if the sky outside is gray.
Talking about the weather might seem simple, but as you heard, you can have very deep and complex conversations about it. It connects to our feelings, our memories, and even the future of our planet.
Thank you so much for listening to the Daily English Learning Podcast. Next time you step outside, try to describe the weather in English to yourself. Is it chilly? Is it breezy? Is it overcast?
Stay warm, stay dry, or stay cool, depending on your hemisphere. We will see you in the next episode.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.